Good day. I've entitled this episode A Disaster Movie in the Making. What am I referring to? I'm referring to climate. First of all, I've generated this based on the president's recent decision to totally ignore, which basically guts scientific evidence regarding climate change. Let's face it comes down to money. You know, the utilities make money. They only make money if, in fact, they're working at full capacity with coal, with gas, with oil. Remember, monopoly has one of the things on its board is utilities. And that is because it has always been equated with a money-making process. In any event, we've got a situation now where it really doesn't affect me totally at this point of time. I'm 83 years old. I don't have that much left of my life. However, it will affect me to some degree. I've got asthma, obviously, that creates a problem. But it will affect my children, and it will affect my grandchildren and their children, and so on through the generations. This rock is going downhill really fast if we don't fix things really fast. The trouble with this whole system is that climate change has been going down the drain since the Industrial Revolution. We all seen the pictures of the factories in England, in jolly old England back in the day, where smoke is pouring out, where all the chimneys, because the houses were wood burning in the city, and you've got all the chimneys with the smoke going out. That's the case. That's way back when, but unfortunately, it multiplies geometrically. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse as we go on. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and so on and so forth. So the problem becomes one where once the ball starts rolling downhill, it goes faster and faster and faster, and it's very difficult to stop it, much less trying to reverse it. What we do today is not going to have an effect on any of us alive right now. The disaster movie is going to be about what's going to take place around 2100. Wow, it's only 75 years from now, if not sooner. Actually, and I will quote science, actually they are talking about 20 to 30 years from now, when we're going to really see some big changes in our climate and on this planet, if we don't stop, if we don't take a look. Let's talk about what I see. I'm not a scientist. I don't profess to be. I don't profess to be someone who knows a whole lot about climate. All I know is what I see. First of all, I've been going to Daytona Beach since the college days, back about 55 years ago or so. I want to show you a picture of Daytona Beach in the 1960s. Now, if you can see this, look at how wide it is, and you've got cars parked all over the place, and you've got cars going in both directions, and the band shells in the background. Pretty nice picture. You could walk out for a football field before you got up to your waist in the water during high tide, because the sand, we had so much beach. This is 2024. Same band shell, same beach, no cars, well, a few cars. But look at how the beach has changed, how there is no beach left. When Hurricane Nicole came through in 22, I believe it was 22 or 23, what took place was it came in so strong and there was so little beach left that when the tide came up, it actually took the sand out from under the foundations of the pilings on the condominiums. 3 condominiums in South Daytona Beach were condemned. Only 8 of them have been reconstructed. But as I walked down the beach right after the hurricane, or shortly after the hurricane, I could see the pilings for the foundation of these 30-story buildings. I mean, crazy. Can you imagine if you owned one of those? Well, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at that today. First of all, under President Obama, we had a really big drop in greenhouse emissions, which helped us with the environment. It helped trying to reverse or at least equalize our greenhouse gases and thereby reduce climate change. And it actually dropped dramatically. Then Donald Trump came in, and when Donald Trump came in, he withdrew from the Paris Agreement in 2017. He reversed or weakened the major federal climate regulations. He took out the Clean Power Plan. Vehicle emissions and fuel economy standards were reversed. He reversed methane regulations. Over 100 environmental regulations were rolled back by him. And for that year, 2017, guess what? It went up. Greenhouse gases went up. The particulates went up. Now, he's going to say, President Trump would come back and say, well, wait a minute, hold on a second. In 2019 to 20, it went down. Yes, it did. It actually did go down. It was dramatically down. However, it was because we were involved with COVID. And with COVID, we had no travel. People stayed home. Industry slowed down to a crawl because of the people being out and no employees, people working from home. So, of course, you didn't have any emissions, not because it was done purposely, intentionally, but it was because of a pandemic. Right after that, it started to go back up again. Now, during the Biden administration, from 21 to 23, it again went down because we had all this stuff put back in place. All the things that Trump had taken away, we now put back in place. And our greenhouse gases and emissions went down. Now it's 2025. Donald Trump came in and again reversed everything all over again, and greenhouse gases have gone up in 25. And they are continuing to go up, and they're going to really go up now that we don't have any regulation at all. He's basically gutted the EPA now, or tried to. Who knows where that's going to go? It's going to go to the courts, of course, and they're going to have to decide how to go about it. You have to look at, let's look at something, the basic mechanism of climate change. First of all, the greenhouse effect. What is it? The sun sends energy to the earth. The earth absorbs the energy and it warms up. The earth then sends heat back into outer space as infrared radiation. However, greenhouse gases trap that radiation and keep it in. What happens? We have a global average temperature rising. We have our oceans warm and expanding, which is what's happening in Daytona Beach and elsewhere. We have weather patterns that shift. We can all see it. We've got more hurricanes coming in. And everybody's going to say, oh, well, it's cyclical. Yeah, maybe it is cyclical, but it's getting worse. The cycles are getting worse, and that's what we have to look at. We also have extreme heat events, which are becoming more and more frequent. We've got to think in terms of where we're going with this. First of all, let's look at Donald Trump himself. I took a little look-see around. What would happen to Mar-a-Lago? Now, again, this is something that with President Trump's age, I don't think he cares one iota about what takes place because he's not going to be around. However, his kids are, and his grandkids will be, and all of them will be looking at walking around the golf course in hip waders. The risk analysis shows that the floodwaters could start to inundate parts of Mar-a-Lago, the estate itself, during high tides and storm surges within the next few decades. By as soon as 2030, there's going to be a situation where the water will literally flood his golf course. Every time there's a high tide, it'll come in. Boom. If there's a hurricane or extreme weather, it's going to go all the way up to his mansion and the clubhouse. They expect that by 2050, and again, this is something that is being debunked by MAGA and President Trump and his cronies. Again, I think that's more for the profit margin than anything else. It's projected to rise. The sea level along the Florida coast is expected to rise 10 to 12 inches by 2050 under moderate emission standards. High tides will come in much more frequently. Flooding will be in yards, roads, streets. Florida is virtually going to be underwater, at least the coastal areas. Much of it will be lost. They say by 2100, and this is more aggressive projections, of course, but by 2100, they estimate that the ocean will rise along the entire eastern seaboard anywhere from 2 to over 7 feet. That means if you own a condo that you expect or some kind of a seaside property that you expect to have around 2100, a mere 75 years from now, think about maybe, reassessing whether that's a good value, because it may be gone, or at least not very habitable. Unfortunately, reversing things isn't going to be overnight. Even if we were to again reverse everything that Donald Trump has done, and we go back and, in fact, the Paris Accords we go again join the Paris Accords, the world goes crazy and starts implementing all kinds of good things to help the climate. It's going to take decades to get to a net zero, which is where we want. Not reversal is probably not going to happen, at least not for centuries. But perhaps we can get to net zero where it doesn't get any worse. And that, I think, is what we need to strive for. For that reason, I've got an electric car. Two of my daughters have electric cars. A lot of my friends have electric cars, and we love them. They're great. My kids like solar energy. I like solar energy. There are ways to exist with electricity that don't mean the use of fossil fuels. And fossil fuels are the culprit here. We really have to watch out. And Donald Trump, by golly, you better think about the fact that your golf course is toast. Or not toast, it's liquid in a very short time. And your great-grandkids and even your grandkids aren't going to be able to play there. Maybe you ought to start thinking about building some golf courses inland, because that's what you're going to need. With that, again, thanks for listening. Like if you want. If you disagree with me, don't like it. And if you can, subscribe to it. Thank you.